Tonight, we will take a slow, quiet walk into the past, into a place where time did not rush, and where daily life moved gently, one simple task after another. This is a calm, sleep history story for adults, made for Mind Lepic, and it will stay peaceful and steady from beginning to end. Before we begin, I want to ask you softly, in a quiet way, with no need to answer out loud, where are you listening from tonight? What is your country name? What is your city name? You can simply think of the answer and let it fade away, like a small leaf floating on still water. Now, let us begin. We are going to step into an ancient monastery, not the kind you see in fast stories, with loud drama and sudden danger. This monastery is calm. It is built for silence, for patience, for routine. It is a place where people wake early, eat simply, and repeat the same gentle tasks again and again for many years. Imagine the monastery resting on a low hill, not too high, not too cold. Around it there are fields, gardens, and a few small paths. There is no bright city noise, no engines, no buzzing signs, only wind, birds, and the soft sound of footsteps on packed earth. The building itself is made of stone, strong and plain. The stones are not perfect. Some are darker, some lighter, some have rough edges, but together they make thick walls that keep the inside cool in summer and less cold in winter. The roof is heavy and steady. The windows are small. The doors are wooden, worn smooth by many hands. Outside, there is a simple bell. It does not ring for celebration the way modern bells sometimes do. It rings to guide the day. It rings to remind the people inside that time is moving, but slowly and in order. Inside the monastery, there is a courtyard. In the center, there might be a small well or a simple garden bed. The courtyard is not filled with decorations. It is not crowded. It is open space, meant for quiet walking and quiet thinking. Along one side of the courtyard is a covered walkway, a cloister where the monks can walk even when it rains. The floor is stone. In some places it is smooth. In other places it is slightly uneven. The stones have been stepped on for years, and you can almost feel the history in them, as if the floor remembers every calm step. Tonight, we will not focus on kings, battles, or famous speeches. We will focus on ordinary days, the kind of days that repeat, the kind of days that are so gentle and similar that, after a while, they feel like a soft blanket. This is sleep history, so we will move slowly. We will take time to notice small details. We will listen to the quiet sounds. We will watch simple actions. Let us choose one monk to follow, just for the feeling of the story. We will call him Brother Thomas. That is not important. His name could be different. What matters is the rhythm of his day. It is still dark when Brother Thomas wakes. Not fully dark, because even night has small changes. There is a faint difference in the sky. A very soft, pale color begins to appear. But the sun is not here yet. He sleeps in a simple room. The room is called a cell, but it is not a prison. It is a small private space. The walls are stone. There is a small wooden bed, a blanket, a thin pillow, a small shelf for a few personal items, perhaps a candle stub, a bit of cloth, and a small book or prayer text. The room smells like stone and old wood. It is not a bad smell. It is calm. It is steady. It is the smell of a place that does not change quickly. Brother Thomas sits up slowly. He does not jump out of bed. He moves gently because the body is still waking, and because rushing is not part of this life. He swings his feet down and touches the cold floor. The stone is cool under his skin. He puts on simple clothes, a plain tunic, a robe, maybe a belt made from rope or leather. The fabric is rough but familiar. It has been washed many times. It has been repaired in small places where it wore thin. He does not speak. In many monasteries, silence is part of the rule, especially at certain times. Even when they do speak, it is often quiet and necessary, not casual and long. He steps out into the hallway. The monastery at this hour is like a sleeping animal. It is awake in a quiet way, breathing slowly. You might hear a soft door closing, a distant footstep, the tiny scrape of fabric. There is no music playing, no sudden laughter, just the careful movement of people who have done this before, thousands of times. He walks toward the church area, the chapel. The path is familiar. The corners are known. He could walk it with his eyes almost closed, and, in a way, he is still half in sleep. In the chapel, candles may already be lit. Not many, just enough to make soft light. The flames are small and steady. They do not shout. They glow. The stone walls hold the cool air. The ceiling is high, or sometimes low, depending on the monastery. The sound of footsteps echoes lightly. Even a small cough can feel loud in such a quiet space. The monks gather. They stand or sit in rows. Their faces are calm. Some look tired but peaceful. They begin the first prayers of the day, spoken softly, chanted in a slow rhythm. You do not have to imagine the exact words. You can simply imagine the sound. Steady voices, rising and falling like gentle waves. Minutes pass. The prayers continue. The mind starts to settle. The body starts to warm a little. The night begins to open into early morning. After prayers, the monks move quietly back into the monastery spaces. Some will go to study. Some will go to work. In many monastic traditions, work is part of the spiritual life. Not loud work, not work for showing off, just steady tasks that help the community live. Brother Thomas goes to a small washing area. There is cold water. It comes from a well or a channel. He splashes his face. The water wakes him more fully. He dries with a cloth that feels rough but clean. Then he walks toward the kitchen area, not for a large breakfast, but for a simple morning meal. The dining space is often called a refectory. It is plain. Long tables, benches, wooden bowls, simple cups. Sometimes, a person reads from a book while everyone eats in silence, so that the meal is calm and focused. Breakfast is small. Maybe bread, coarse and dark. Perhaps a little porridge or beans. Maybe a sip of thin beer or watered wine, depending on the region and time period. Because clean water could be uncertain in some places. The food is not designed to excite. It is designed to support. It is enough, but not too much. It is steady like the rest of life here. Brother Thomas eats slowly. Chewing is quiet. The room is filled with small sounds. The shift of wood, a cup placed down, a breath. After breakfast, there is a moment of direction. A senior monk might quietly give tasks for the day, or tasks might already be known, following a weekly cycle. Today, Brother Thomas is assigned to the garden. The monastery garden is not a decorative garden for beauty alone. It is a working garden. It grows food and herbs. It supports the monastery. It also teaches patience. The garden sits behind a low stone wall. In the morning, the air is cool and slightly wet. There is dew on leaves. The soil smells rich and dark. Brother Thomas takes simple tools: a hoe, a small spade, maybe a basket. He walks along the garden paths. As he moves, he notices what needs attention. Some plants need water. Some weeds need to be pulled. Some beds might need turning. There is no rush. The plants cannot be forced to grow faster. They grow as they grow. He kneels near one bed and begins pulling weeds. He grips the base of the weed, loosens the soil gently, and lifts it out. The roots come free, long and pale. He places the weeds into a basket. This work can be repetitive, and that is the point. Repetition can become calming. The mind does not need to chase new things. It can rest inside a simple motion. Pull, place, pull, place. The morning light grows brighter. Birds move along the wall. A small insect crawls over a leaf. The world continues, quiet and steady. In some monasteries, herbs are very important. They grow plants used for basic medicine. Not modern medicine, of course, but the best knowledge available at the time. There might be sage, mint, rosemary, and other herbs depending on the climate. Brother Thomas checks the herbs, touching the leaves gently, smelling them. The smell is fresh and earthy. He might cut a few stems carefully, not too many, placing them into a small bundle. These will go to the kitchen, or perhaps to the infirmary area where sick monks rest. The monastery is like a small village. It has its own systems, its own needs, its own little economy. If you walk slowly through it, you might see the bakery area, where bread is made in large ovens. You might see storage rooms with sacks of grain. You might see a room where cloth is repaired. You might see a place where candles are made, using wax or tallow. And somewhere, you might see the scriptorium. The scriptorium is a special room in many historical monasteries. It is where books are copied by hand. Before printing presses became common, books were precious. They were copied slowly, letter, by trained hands. Not all monasteries had a large scriptorium, and not all monks were scribes, but in many places, writing and copying were part of daily life. In the scriptorium, the windows are placed to catch light. The desks are plain. Ink is made from simple ingredients. Quills are cut and shaped. Parchment or vellum is prepared carefully. The work is very slow. A scribe must focus on each line, each letter. A mistake can ruin a page. Even this careful work has a calm rhythm. Dip the quill. Write a line. Pause. Breathe. Write again. But Brother Thomas is not in the scriptorium today. He is in the garden, where the sun is now warm enough to soften the chill. As the morning continues, the bell rings again. Not loudly for panic. Just a reminder. It is time for another prayer. Brother Thomas sets down his tools. He brushes soil from his hands. He walks back through the paths, through the courtyard, toward the chapel. This is another rhythm. Work, prayer, work, prayer. When the monks pray in the middle of the day, the prayers can feel like a pause button on the mind. The day stops being a straight line. It becomes a circle of gentle moments. They pray again, softly. They sit, they stand, they breathe. After prayer, they return to tasks. Now, let us step closer and notice the simple details of monastic life, the things most history books do not talk about. Think about clothing. Monks often wear the same garments daily. The fabric is heavy. It is meant to last. Clothes are repaired often. Sewing is quiet work. A needle passes through cloth. Thread tightens. A tear is closed. Think about cleaning. Floors must be swept. Dust must be removed. Straw might be replaced in some areas. Dishes must be washed. Pots must be scrubbed. In modern life, cleaning is sometimes rushed, done while thinking about something else. In a monastery, it can be done with attention, slowly, as part of the day's order. Think about water. Water must be carried. Buckets are heavy. Wells are deep. Water is precious and used carefully. Brother Thomas, later in the morning, might be asked to help carry water. If so, he would lift the bucket with both hands, feeling the weight pull on his arms. He would walk slowly, carefully, so the water does not spill. He might pour water into a larger container in the kitchen. He might fill a small basin for washing. There is no machine doing it. Only patient bodies and steady hands. Now think about the kitchen itself. The kitchen is warm. It smells like smoke, bread, herbs, and simple stew. A large pot may hang over a fire. Someone stirs it slowly with a wooden spoon. Meals take time, not because they are fancy, but because cooking with fire is slow. Heat must be managed. Pots must be watched. Ingredients must be prepared. Vegetables from the garden might be washed and chopped. Beans might be soaked. Bread dough might be kneaded. Even kneading can be calming. Press, fold, turn, press again. As we move toward midday, the monastery begins to prepare for the main meal. In many traditions, the main meal is around the middle of the day. Evening meals may be lighter, or sometimes there is no evening meal. Depending on rules and seasons, the bell rings again. The monks gather in the refectory. They sit. They lower their heads. They begin the meal, often in silence. Perhaps a reader stands and reads a text in a calm voice. The reading is not entertainment. It is part of the rhythm. The food is simple. Maybe vegetable stew, bread, and perhaps cheese. If it is a special day, maybe fish. Meat is often limited or avoided in many monastic rules, though practices vary across time and place. Brother Thomas eats slowly, not hurried. He does not take more than he needs. Waste is avoided. Food is valued because it is the result of many hands, planting, harvesting, cooking. When the meal ends, the monks clean. Bowls are collected, tables wiped, leftovers stored carefully. Then there may be a short rest. In some monasteries, there is a time of quiet rest after the midday meal. Not an exciting nap, not a long sleep, but a calm pause. The body can recover. The mind can settle again. Brother Thomas might return to his cell for a short time. He might sit on the bed. He might close his eyes. He might simply breathe. This is not laziness. It is part of balance. And now, as the early afternoon begins, we will set up the gentle path for the rest of our story. Because this is not only about one day. This is about daily life repeating for years. The same bell, the same courtyard, the same tools, the same quiet meals, the same slow seasons. In part 2, we will continue the day and move deeper into the monastery's world. The afternoon work, the library, and learning. The small conversations that happen when silence relaxes, and the way evening comes gently, without bright lights, without noise. But for now, let your mind stay with the morning. Imagine the garden beds. Imagine the cool stone floors. Imagine the soft candlelight. Imagine the slow voices of prayer, steady and calm. If your thoughts wander, that is fine. Let them wander slowly, like a small boat drifting on a quiet lake. And before we end part 1, I will say something softly, with no pressure at all. If you feel relaxed with Mind Lepic, you can like if you want, and you can subscribe if you feel it helps you relax more. The afternoon begins without hurry. There is no loud signal, no sudden change. The monastery moves forward in the same gentle rhythm that carried the morning. Outside, the sun sits a little higher in the sky, warming the stone walls and softening the shadows in the courtyard. The air feels calm, steady, and predictable. Brother Thomas rises slowly from his short rest. His small room remains simple and quiet, just as it was before. Nothing has changed, and that is one of the hidden comforts of monastic life, the world inside. These walls rarely shifts in sudden ways. Days flow into each other like soft pages turning in a book that never rushes. He opens the wooden door and steps back into the corridor. The stone floor holds a gentle echo of his footsteps. Somewhere far away, another door closes with a dull, wooden sound. Someone walks past, offering only a small nod. Speech is still limited during the parts of the day, so greetings remain silent and calm. Outside, in the cloister walkway, sunlight stretches across the arches. Dust floats slowly in the warm air. You could stand here for a long time, just watching the shadows move little by little, marking the slow passage of time without the need for clocks. The afternoon tasks today will take Brother Thomas to a different part of the monastery, the library. Not every monastery had a large collection of books, but many kept at least a few precious texts. Books were rare, copied by hand over many years. They were treated with care, stored in wooden cupboards or on simple shelves. As Brother Thomas walks toward the library room, he passes through the courtyard again. A few monks sit quietly on benches, mending robes or reading small pages. One monk carefully repairs a sandal using a simple needle and leather cord. Every action feels unhurried, like breathing. Inside the library, the air smells faintly of parchment, wood, and old ink. The light enters through narrow windows, creating long, soft lines across the floor. Tables stand near the walls, and a few wooden stools wait beside them. Brother Thomas is not a master scribe, but today he is asked to assist by organizing pages and checking that books are returned to their places. This work is gentle and slow. He lifts a manuscript carefully with both hands. The pages feel thick, slightly rough, and cool to the touch. He opens one book briefly, just enough to check its place. The writing is neat and steady. Each letter shows the patience of the person who copied it long ago. Some pages include small decorations, tiny drawings of plants, stars, or simple shapes. Nothing loud, nothing too bright, just quiet beauty made slowly over time. He closes the book again and returns it to its shelf. The room is silent except for the faint scratching of a quill from another monk writing at a desk. That sound, scratch, pause, scratch, repeats gently, like the ticking of an invisible clock. Time moves forward. After some time, Brother Thomas carries a small stack of pages across the room. He aligns them carefully, making sure the edges match. This task requires attention but not stress. It allows the mind to stay calm, focused on one simple thing at a time. Outside, the afternoon light becomes softer. The heat of midday begins to fade. Another bell rings. The sound is not sharp or urgent. It spreads through the air slowly, reaching each part of the monastery. It signals another moment of prayer. Brother Thomas places the pages down and walks toward the chapel again. Along the way, he notices the smell of bread from the bakery area. Someone has been preparing dough for the next day. The smell mixes with the scent of herbs drying near the kitchen door. Inside the chapel, the monks gather quietly. The stone floor feels cooler now compared to the warm garden outside. Candles flicker gently, their light moving like slow water across the walls. The prayer this time feels shorter, softer. Voices rise and fall in calm harmony. The rhythm does not push the mind. Instead, it invites stillness. After the prayer ends, the monks step outside again. The afternoon tasks continue. Brother Thomas returns to the garden, but now the work is lighter. He walks along the rows, checking the plants he cared for earlier. Some leaves have opened more fully under the sun. Small insects move quietly among the stems. The world here feels peaceful, untouched by noise. He kneels to adjust a small wooden marker that shows which herbs grow in this bed. The wood feels warm from sunlight. He presses it gently into the soil. Nearby, another monk waters plants using a simple clay jug. The water pours slowly, darkening the earth. No one rushes. The pace of life follows the pace of nature. As the afternoon moves on, a few monks begin preparing the workshop area. Tools are cleaned and returned to their places. A hammer rests on a wooden bench. A bundle of rope hangs neatly on a hook. These small acts of order keep the monastery balanced. Brother Thomas walks through the courtyard once more. This time he pauses near the well. The surface of the water reflects the sky, showing a pale blue color with soft, drifting clouds. He lowers a bucket slowly, listening to the rope slide against stone. When the bucket reaches the water, there is a soft splash. He lifts it carefully, feeling the weight grow heavier as it rises. Carrying water is slow work, but it grounds the body. Each step feels steady. He pours water into a basin near the kitchen entrance. A cook nods in quiet thanks. No long conversation follows, just a shared understanding that every small action supports the community. The day continues like this, built from many small moments. In the late afternoon, the monastery becomes even quieter. The sun lowers slightly and the air cools again. Long shadows stretch across the courtyard stones. Some monks walk slowly along the cloister, reading or thinking. Others sit in silent reflection. Brother Thomas takes a moment to sit on a bench. He watches the garden from a distance. The wind moves gently through the leaves. Somewhere far away, a bird calls once, then falls silent again. There is no need to fill the silence with noise. The quiet itself feels full. After a while, he returns to a small indoor task, helping to fold freshly washed cloth. The cloth smells like water and clean air. He smooths each piece carefully, folding it into neat shapes. The repetition feels calming, almost like a slow rhythm in the hands. Fold, place, fold again. The sky outside begins to shift into soft evening colors. Another bell rings. This time, it calls the monks to evening prayer. They gather once more in the chapel. The light from outside mixes with candlelight, creating a gentle golden glow. The voices during evening prayer often feel deeper, more reflective. The day is coming to a close, and the rhythm slows even further. Brother Thomas stands quietly, listening to the steady voices around him. The sound feels like a calm wave moving through the room. When the prayer ends, the monks step back into the courtyard. The air is cooler now. The first signs of evening appear. A softer sky, longer shadows, a peaceful stillness. There is no rush toward entertainment. No bright lights turning on. Evening in a monastery arrives gently, like a soft blanket settling over the day. Some monks return to reading. Others prepare the refectory for a light evening meal or drink, depending on the rules of the monastery. Bread may be shared again, perhaps with a little fruit or soup. Brother Thomas sits at the table, eating slowly. The meal is quiet. The sounds are simple. Wooden bowls touching the table, soft breathing, a chair shifting slightly. After the meal, the community cleans together. Bowls are washed, tables wiped. The fire in the kitchen is adjusted for the night. Outside, the sky deepens into blue. Lanterns or candles are lit along the corridors. Their light moves gently across the stone walls, creating soft patterns. The monastery feels smaller now, wrapped in evening calm. In some monasteries, this time is used for personal reflection. Brother Thomas walks slowly through the cloister, listening to the quiet. He passes the garden again, now resting under fading light. The plants seem still, as if they too are settling into sleep. The bell rings one final time for the day. This is the last prayer before night. The monks gather again in the chapel, their movements slower now. The day's work has softened their energy. The voices during this final prayer feel gentle, almost like a whisper carried through the air. Afterward, silence deepens. The monks return to their cells one by one. Doors close softly. Footsteps fade. Brother Thomas enters his room. The small candle casts a warm glow on the stone wall. He sits on the edge of his bed for a moment, letting the quiet fill the space. He removes his outer robe, folds it neatly, and places it on the shelf. The day has been simple, repeated, steady, and tomorrow will be similar. Outside, the night settles fully over the monastery, and here we will pause the story. In Part 3, we will continue into the deeper evening routines and the quiet night hours, how monasteries experienced darkness before modern light, how dreams and silence shaped the minds of those who lived inside these stone walls, and how another morning slowly begins again. Night arrives slowly at the monastery. There are no bright street lamps outside the walls, no electric lights glowing through the windows. Darkness comes gently, step by step, like a quiet visitor who knows the way. The last colors of the evening sky fade into deep blue, then into soft shadow. Inside his small cell, Brother Thomas sits quietly for a few moments before sleep. The candle beside him burns with a steady flame. It is not bright enough to fill the room with strong light, but it gives enough warmth to soften the darkness. The stone walls hold the cool air of night. Somewhere in the distance, you might hear a faint sound, perhaps the wind touching the roof, or a wooden beam settling gently. These sounds are not distractions. They are part of the monastery's natural rhythm. He does not rush to lie down. Evening is a time for calm reflection. Many monks spend a few minutes thinking about their day, not in a heavy or stressful way, but simply noticing what happened. The garden work, the quiet meal, the prayers, the small moments of silence. Brother Thomas lowers his head slightly, breathing slowly. The candle flame moves gently, reacting to the smallest movement of air. When he feels ready, he stands and gently blows out the candle. The room becomes dark, but it is not an empty darkness. It feels deep and calm, like the inside of a quiet forest at night. His eyes slowly adjust. A faint silver glow from the moon slips through the small window, touching the edge of the floor. He lies down on the simple bed. The blanket feels heavy but comforting. There are no loud thoughts here. No need to plan tomorrow in detail. Tomorrow will follow the same pattern as many days before. Outside the cells, the monastery settles into silence. Night in ancient monasteries was very different from modern nights. Without electric light, people often slept earlier. The body followed the natural cycle of darkness and sunrise. Some monks would wake again during the night for special prayers, depending on the tradition. As Brother Thomas rests, the monastery breathes quietly. If you walked slowly through the corridors now, you would see long shadows stretching across the stone floor. The cloister is empty. The garden rests under moonlight, leaves shining softly with dew. The well reflects a small circle of stars. Somewhere, a night bird calls once, then disappears into the quiet sky. Time passes. Hours move slowly, unnoticed. In the deep part of the night, the bell rings softly again. Not loudly, just enough to wake those who are meant to rise. This is the night office, a special prayer held in darkness. It is not meant to disturb the peace, but to shape the rhythm of life. Brother Thomas opens his eyes slowly. The room feels cool, and the air carries the gentle stillness of midnight. He sits up carefully, moving slowly so his body can adjust. He lights the candle again, shielding the flame with his hand. The corridor outside holds a faint glow from other small candles. Monks walk quietly toward the chapel, their footsteps soft against the floor. Inside the chapel, the atmosphere feels different from daytime. The darkness is deeper, the candlelight more noticeable. The voices of prayer sound softer, almost like whispers carried through stone arches. Night prayers are slow. The words stretch gently across the silence. Some monks close their eyes. Others gaze at the candle flames. There is no rush to finish. After the prayer ends, the monks return quietly to their cells. Some will sleep again until dawn. Others may sit for a while, reflecting or reading by candlelight. Brother Thomas returns to his room and lies down once more. The body feels heavier now, ready for deeper rest. Outside, the night continues its quiet movement. The hours before dawn are often the most silent. Even the wind seems to slow. The monastery rests like a sleeping village, protected by its thick stone walls. Eventually, the sky begins to change again. At first, the change is so small that it is easy to miss. The darkness near the horizon becomes slightly lighter. A faint gray color replaces the deep black of night. Birds begin to move. One bird calls softly. Another answers. Brother Thomas wakes before the bell this time. His body has learned the rhythm of the monastery. He sits up slowly, feeling the calm of a new day beginning. He dresses quietly and steps into the corridor. The air feels fresh and cool. The smell of stone and morning dew fills the space. Outside in the courtyard, a thin mist rests near the ground. The garden looks peaceful, each leaf holding a tiny drop of water. The well reflects the pale morning sky. The bell rings again, calling the monks to the first prayer of the new day. The cycle continues. Inside the chapel, the candlelight mixes with the first soft light of dawn. The voices of the monks rise slowly, welcoming the morning in the same gentle way they ended the night. After prayer, the day begins again. But this morning will bring new small tasks. Brother Thomas is asked to help in the kitchen today. He walks toward the warm space where a fire has already been lit. The smell of wood. Smoke fills the air. A large pot sits above the flames, slowly warming. He begins by carrying a basket of vegetables from the storage room. The vegetables are simple: carrots, onions, perhaps some leafy greens from the garden. He washes them in cool water, feeling the smooth surface of the vegetables under his fingers. A cook stands nearby, stirring a pot slowly. The sound of the spoon against the metal or clay creates a gentle rhythm. Brother Thomas begins chopping vegetables with a small knife. The motion is steady and careful. Cut, pause, move the pieces aside, cut again. There is no rush to finish quickly. The meal will be ready when it is ready. As the morning light grows stronger, other monks enter the kitchen quietly, each taking part in the work. One kneads dough, another prepares bowls, another carries firewood. The kitchen becomes a small center of activity, but even here the atmosphere stays calm. Voices are low, movements are slow. After some time, the bell rings again for prayer. Brother Thomas washes his hands and walks back to the chapel. The morning prayer feels familiar now, like returning to a place that never changes. When the prayer ends, he returns to the kitchen to finish preparing the simple meal. The refectory fills slowly with monks. They sit at long tables, bowls placed neatly in front of them. The meal is quiet, just as it was yesterday. Bread is passed gently from one person to another. Soup is poured carefully into bowls. As Brother Thomas eats, he notices the calm faces around him. Each person lives the same rhythm: work, prayer, rest, day after day. After the meal, the cleaning begins again. Water is poured into basins. Bowls are washed. The floor is swept. Outside, the sun rises higher, warming the courtyard stones. And once again, the monastery moves forward into another gentle day. In Part 4, we will explore the slower seasons of monastic life, how the monastery changes in spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and how the passing of seasons shapes the quiet routines Inside these ancient walls, the monastery does not change quickly, but the seasons around it move slowly, shaping the rhythm of life in quiet ways. Brother Thomas has lived inside these stone walls long enough to notice how the year breathes. Some mornings feel bright and warm. Others arrive wrapped in mist or cold wind. The garden shifts color again and again, and even the sounds of the birds change with time. Let us walk slowly through the seasons together, beginning with spring. Spring arrives softly. It does not come in one sudden moment. Instead, small signs appear first. The air feels lighter. The ground becomes less hard. Tiny green shoots push through the soil in the garden beds. Brother Thomas kneels near the herb rows, noticing the first leaves of mint and sage. They are small but strong. The smell is fresh and gentle when he touches them. The monastery in spring feels hopeful, but not excited. There are no loud celebrations. Instead, there is a quiet understanding that new growth has begun again. Monks spend more time outside during spring. The garden needs attention. Seeds must be planted carefully. Soil must be turned and prepared. Brother Thomas carries a small bag of seeds. He walks slowly along the rows, making small holes in the earth with a wooden tool. He drops one seed into each space, covering it gently with soil. Plant, cover, move forward. The rhythm feels almost like prayer. Birds return to the trees near the monastery walls. Their songs fill the morning air. The sound is not loud or overwhelming, just a gentle reminder that life continues. Inside the monastery, windows are opened more often. Fresh air moves through the corridors. Dust is brushed away from shelves and tables. Spring cleaning is not rushed. It is done slowly, one small task at a time. Cloths wipe down wooden benches. Straw is replaced in certain areas. The cloister floor is swept carefully, removing bits of dry leaves carried in by the wind. Meals begin to change slightly. Fresh greens appear in the kitchen. Brother Thomas helps wash bundles of herbs, tying them with simple string so they can hang and dry near the ceiling. The bell continues to guide the day. Prayer, work, prayer again. As spring grows warmer, the monastery feels open and alive, but still calm. Now let us move into summer. Summer brings longer days. The sun rises earlier, and the sky stays bright until late evening. The stone walls grow warm under sunlight, and the garden becomes full of green leaves and small flowers. Brother Thomas spends many mornings watering plants before the heat grows strong. He lifts a clay jug from the well and walks slowly between the rows. Water pours gently onto the soil, darkening it. In summer, the work feels slower because the heat encourages careful movement. Monks wear lighter layers when possible, but their clothing remains simple and modest. The kitchen changes too. Fruits may appear, small berries or apples, depending on the region. Bread continues to bake daily, filling the air with a comforting smell. During the hottest part of the afternoon, the monastery grows very quiet. Some monks read in shaded corners. Others rest briefly inside cool rooms with thick stone walls. Brother Thomas sometimes sits near the cloister arches, watching sunlight move across the courtyard. The well reflects a bright sky. Bees move slowly among the flowers. Evening prayers in summer feel different. The chapel glows with warm light from the setting sun. Shadows stretch long across the floor. Night arrives later, but when darkness comes, it still feels gentle and deep. Now, slowly, summer fades into autumn. Autumn brings a change that can be seen clearly in the garden. Leaves begin to turn gold and brown. The air feels cooler, and mornings carry a thin mist. Brother Thomas joins other monks in harvesting crops. Vegetables are gathered and placed into baskets. Herbs are cut and tied into bundles to dry for winter. Harvest work is steady and careful. Nothing is wasted. Each plant is treated with respect because it will help sustain the monastery through colder months. Inside the storage rooms, sacks of grain are stacked neatly. Wooden shelves hold jars of preserved food. The smell of dried herbs fills the air. Autumn also brings longer evenings. The light fades earlier, and candles are used more often inside the corridors. The monastery feels smaller and cozier as the outside world grows darker. Brother Thomas notices the sound of dry leaves under his feet as he walks through the courtyard. The garden begins to rest. Fewer flowers bloom. The soil grows quiet again. Evening meals feel warmer during autumn. Soups become thicker. Bread is served fresh from the oven, steam rising gently from each loaf. The monks continue their prayers, steady and unchanged, even as the world outside shifts. And then winter arrives. Winter does not rush in loudly. The air simply grows colder day by day. Frost appears on the garden beds in the early morning. The well water feels icy to the touch. Brother Thomas wraps his robe tighter around his shoulders as he walks through the corridor before dawn prayers. The stone floor feels colder beneath his feet. Outside, the garden rests under a thin layer of frost. The plants sleep, waiting for spring to return again. Work moves indoors during winter. The scriptorium becomes busier. Monks spend more time copying books, repairing tools, or mending clothing. The kitchen fire burns longer each day, filling the space with warmth. Soup simmers slowly in heavy pots. The smell of wood smoke mixes with herbs and bread. Brother Thomas helps carry firewood from the storage area. Each piece is stacked carefully beside the hearth. The crackle of flames becomes a constant background sound. Winter evenings feel especially quiet. Darkness comes early, wrapping the monastery in deep stillness. Candles flicker along the walls, creating soft, golden light. During night prayers, the monk's breath can sometimes be seen in the cool air of the chapel. Their voices remain calm, steady, and peaceful. Even in winter, the routine does not break. Prayer, work, rest, the cycle continues, just as it does in every season. And slowly, almost without notice, winter begins to soften again. The seasons turn like pages in a book that never ends. Brother Thomas has seen many cycles of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Each season feels familiar, yet slightly different every year. The monastery stands steady through all of it, unchanged in its quiet purpose. In Part 5, we will explore the people inside the monastery more deeply, the different roles monks have, how they learn from one another, and how friendship exists even within silence. Inside the monastery, life may appear quiet and simple from the outside, but many different people live within its walls. Each monk carries a different role, a different rhythm of work, and a different way of moving through the calm days. Brother Thomas has come to know these small differences over time. Even in a place where clothing looks similar and speech is often limited, each person's presence feels unique in quiet ways. Let us walk slowly through the monastery and notice the people who live here. Near the garden entrance, there is an older monk named Brother Matthias. His back bends slightly as he walks, but his hands remain steady. He has worked in the garden for many years, learning how each plant grows and how the soil changes through the seasons. Brother Matthias rarely speaks during work hours, but when he does, his voice is soft and slow. Younger monks sometimes watch him carefully, learning without needing long explanations. He shows them how to hold a tool gently, how to press soil without harming roots, and how to notice small changes in the leaves. Brother Thomas often works beside him. There are moments when they kneel in silence, pulling weeds together. The quiet between them does not feel empty. It feels like shared understanding. Not far from the garden is the scriptorium, where another group of monks spends much of their day. Brother Elias is one of the scribes. His desk sits near a narrow window so he can use the soft daylight to see the pages clearly. His fingers move carefully across parchment, shaping letters that must remain steady and clear. He dips the quill into ink, pauses, then writes again. The movement repeats over and over. When a page is finished, he blows gently across the ink to help it dry. Brother Thomas sometimes brings fresh parchment or carries finished pages back to storage. Each time he enters the room, he feels the stillness there. Even the sound of breathing seems softer. There is also Brother Adrian, who works mostly in the kitchen. Brother Adrian is not loud or busy in a rushed way. Instead, he moves slowly, stirring pots, checking fires, and preparing meals that will nourish everyone. He knows how long bread must rest before baking. He knows how much water to add to soup so it remains warm but not too thick. Brother Thomas has learned that cooking in the monastery is not only about food, it is about patience. Fire cannot be forced. Dough cannot be rushed. Every meal is shaped by time itself. In the infirmary, there is Brother Luca. The infirmary is a small, quiet space where sick or tired monks rest. Shelves hold bundles of dried herbs. The air smells faintly of mint and rosemary. Brother Luca moves gently between beds. He listens more than he speaks. When someone feels unwell, he sits beside them quietly, allowing the calm of the room to help ease their thoughts. Brother Thomas once spent a day helping him arrange fresh herbs on the shelves. The work felt peaceful, tying small bundles with string, hanging them carefully so air could pass through. Beyond these roles, there are also younger monks, often called novices. One novice, Brother Daniel, has only been at the monastery for a short time. His steps sometimes feel unsure, and he watches others closely to learn the rhythm of daily life. Brother Thomas notices how Brother Daniel moves more slowly each week, becoming calmer as he adapts to the routine. In the mornings, Brother Daniel practices reading aloud from simple texts, his voice quiet but steady. Older monks sit nearby, listening without interruption. Learning here is gentle. Mistakes are corrected with patience rather than pressure. Even the leader of the monastery, the abbot, moves with quiet presence. The abbot does not walk with loud authority. Instead, he listens carefully to the needs of the community. He speaks softly during gatherings, guiding the monks with calm words. When decisions must be made, he considers them slowly. Brother Thomas sometimes sees him walking alone in the cloister, hands folded, eyes focused on the garden. The abbot's calm presence helps keep the rhythm of the monastery balanced. Although silence is an important part of monastic life, friendship still exists. It appears in small gestures, a shared look across the courtyard, a slight nod during work, or the quiet passing of a tool from one hand to another. These moments build a sense of connection without needing many words. During certain hours, monks are allowed to speak softly. In these moments, Brother Thomas may share a short conversation with Brother Matthias about the weather or the state of the garden. Their voices remain low. The conversation is not long, but even a few gentle words can feel warm in a quiet place. Evenings sometimes bring a different kind of connection. After the last meal, a few monks may sit together in the cloister, listening to the wind moving through the arches. One monk might quietly read from a book while others listen. The sound of reading feels like a calm river flowing through the air. Brother Thomas enjoys these moments. They remind him that the monastery is not only about silence, but also about shared presence. Work continues to shape these relationships. One afternoon, Brother Thomas helps Brother Adrian carry heavy sacks of grain into the storage room. The weight pulls on their arms, but they move slowly together, step by step. When the task is finished, they pause briefly, breathing in the cool air of the corridor. No long praise is spoken, just a small nod of thanks. In another part of the monastery, Brother Elias shows a novice how to hold a quill properly. He guides the novice's hand gently, adjusting the angle so the ink flows smoothly. The novice smiles slightly, feeling proud of a steady line written without mistake. Learning here feels calm and patient. Even disagreements, when they happen, remain quiet. If a tool is misplaced or a task forgotten, the monks speak softly, reminding one another without anger. The rhythm of daily life encourages calm responses rather than sudden reactions. As the day moves forward, Brother Thomas walks through the courtyard again. He notices how each monk moves with a unique pace. Some slower, some slightly faster, yet all remain part of the same gentle flow. The bell rings for prayer. They gather once more in the chapel. Their voices blend together, creating a sound that feels larger than any single person. In these moments, differences between individuals fade, replaced by shared stillness. After prayer, Brother Thomas returns to the garden with Brother Matthias. The sky shows soft clouds drifting slowly. They kneel beside a row of plants, pulling small weeds from the soil. A bird lands briefly on the stone wall, watching quietly before flying away again. The garden feels like a meeting place where silence and friendship live side by side. As evening approaches, the monks prepare for their final tasks of the day. Brother Thomas helps fold robes in a storage room. Brother Daniel carefully sweeps the floor. Brother Adrian checks the kitchen fire one last time. The monastery grows quieter with each passing moment. Lanterns are lit along the corridor. The warm light reflects on the stone walls, creating a peaceful glow. Before night prayer, Brother Thomas sits for a moment in the cloister. He watches the other monks walk past, each carrying the calm of the day within them. Here, friendship does not need loud laughter or long conversations. It exists in steady presence, in shared work, in quiet understanding. The bell rings again, calling everyone to the chapel. Their voices rise together one more time before the monastery rests. And here we will gently pause. In Part 6, we will explore the learning and knowledge inside the monastery, how monks studied history, philosophy, and daily wisdom, and how slow reading shaped their calm way of thinking. Morning light enters the monastery slowly, touching the stone walls with a soft golden color. The bell has already rung for the first prayer, and the monks have begun their quiet day again. Today, we will walk gently into one of the calmest parts of monastic life: learning and study. Learning inside an ancient monastery does not feel like a modern classroom. There are no loud discussions, no rushing to finish assignments, and no bright boards filled with quick notes. Instead, study moves slowly, almost like breathing. Brother Thomas steps into the library after morning work in the garden. The air feels cool and still. Dust floats gently through the light from a narrow window. Wooden shelves hold carefully placed books, each one precious because it took many hours, sometimes many years, to create. Books here are not many, but each one carries weight. Some contain religious teachings. Others hold pieces of history, poetry, or philosophy copied from older traditions. Many monks learn by reading slowly, repeating lines quietly to themselves. Brother Elias sits at his desk in the scriptorium, writing carefully with a quill. The scratch of ink against parchment creates a soft, steady sound. Brother Thomas pauses near the doorway, listening to the rhythm of the writing. Dip the quill. Write a line. Pause. Breathe. Learning here is not about speed. It is about patience. Brother Thomas takes a small book from the shelf. The cover feels rough, made from leather that has aged over time. He opens it carefully. The pages are thick, slightly uneven at the edges. He begins to read. The words are simple teachings about daily life. Reminders to stay calm, to notice the small details of the world, and to move through each day with steady attention. These teachings are not meant to excite or impress. They are meant to guide the mind into quiet focus. He reads one paragraph slowly, then pauses. In monastic study, stopping to think is as important as reading itself. Some monks sit alone while studying. Others gather quietly in small groups, listening as one person reads aloud. The voice of the reader remains soft, creating a calm flow of sound that fills the room without disturbing the silence. Near the far wall, Brother Daniel practices writing letters on a scrap of parchment. His movements are careful. He traces each shape slowly, learning how to keep his hand steady. Brother Elias stands nearby, watching gently, offering small corrections with a nod or a quiet word. Brother Thomas returns the book to its place and moves to a wooden table. He picks up a simple wax tablet used for practice writing. With a small stylus, he begins to trace lines across the surface. The motion feels calming. Draw a line. Pause. Erase gently. Draw again. Learning inside the monastery is often connected to memory. Monks repeat texts many times until the words become familiar. Some memorize long passages, not for display, but to carry calm thoughts within their minds throughout the day. Outside, the garden waits quietly under the rising sun. But inside, time feels slower. The library holds a different kind of stillness, one shaped by thought and reflection. The bell rings again, calling the monks to prayer. Brother Thomas sets down the stylus and walks to the chapel with the others. The rhythm of the day continues. Study, prayer, work, rest, always returning to calm balance. After prayer, the study time resumes. Brother Luca enters the library carrying a small bundle of dried herbs. He places them carefully on a shelf near a book about simple healing practices. Learning in the monastery often connects to daily tasks. Knowledge is not separate from life. It supports the community. One monk studies how to prepare herbal tea for someone with a fever. Another reads about the history of earlier monasteries and how they lived. Brother Thomas sits beside a window, watching light move across the floor as he reads again. He notices how the quiet helps him focus. There are no sudden noises, no distractions pulling his attention away. The monastery teaches that reading slowly allows the mind to rest. Words become like gentle waves, moving at a steady pace. In the afternoon, Brother Elias invites a few monks to listen as he reads a short historical story aloud. His voice is calm and even. The story speaks of travelers who crossed long roads many years ago, carrying simple belongings and moving at a steady pace. As the monks listen, their faces remain peaceful. No one interrupts. The sound of reading becomes part of the quiet afternoon. When the reading ends, they sit silently for a few moments, letting the words settle. Brother Thomas notices how learning here feels different from learning outside the monastery walls. It is not about collecting many facts quickly. It is about understanding slowly, one thought at a time. He closes his eyes briefly, allowing the calm to settle deeper. Later, he helps Brother Daniel organize a stack of practice pages. They arrange them neatly, aligning the edges carefully. The small task feels like part of the learning process. Order and patience shaping the day. As evening approaches, the light grows softer again. The monks begin to close the books and cover the desks. Ink bottles are sealed. Quills are cleaned gently and placed in holders. The library returns to stillness. Outside, the courtyard glows with warm evening light. A few monks walk slowly along the cloister, reflecting quietly on what they read. Brother Thomas steps into the garden once more before night prayer. He touches a leaf gently, feeling its smooth surface. The knowledge from the books and the work in the garden feel connected, both teaching patience. The bell rings again. Evening prayer begins. The voices of the monks fill the chapel, calm and steady. The day's learning becomes part of their reflection, shaping the quiet tone of the night. After prayer, the monastery grows silent again. Candles flicker softly in the corridors. Brother Thomas returns to his cell, placing a small bookmark between the pages of a book he plans to continue tomorrow. He sets it on the shelf and sits quietly for a moment, breathing slowly. Learning here never feels finished. It moves gently from one day to the next, just like the rhythm of the seasons. And here we will pause. In Part 7, we will explore the quiet crafts of the monastery, candle making, tool repair, and the small handmade objects that filled daily life with simple purpose. Morning begins again with soft light spreading across the monastery walls. The bell rings gently, calling the monks to prayer, and the day unfolds with the same calm rhythm as before. Today, we will walk slowly into the quiet crafts of monastic life, the small handmade tasks that filled many hours and shaped the peaceful atmosphere inside these ancient walls. After the first prayer and a simple meal, Brother Thomas walks toward a small workshop near the edge of the courtyard. The workshop is not large or crowded. It is a humble space where tools hang neatly on wooden pegs, and a long table rests under a narrow window. Craftwork in the monastery is never loud or rushed. Each task is performed slowly with attention to detail. These crafts are not made for decoration or trade alone. They support daily life. Candles for light, repaired tools for the garden, and simple objects that last many years. Today, Brother Thomas begins by helping with candle making. A large pot rests over a low fire, warming wax slowly. The air smells faintly sweet and earthy. Nearby, long cotton wicks are stretched across a wooden frame, waiting to be dipped into the melted wax. Brother Adrian stands beside the pot, stirring gently with a wooden stick. He moves slowly, watching the wax carefully. If the fire becomes too strong, the wax could burn. If it is too weak, the wax will not melt evenly. Brother Thomas takes a wick and dips it slowly into the warm liquid. He lifts it out and hangs it to cool. The wax hardens quietly, forming a thin layer. After a few moments, he dips it again. Dip, lift, wait, repeat. This process continues many times. Each layer of wax builds slowly, creating a candle that will later glow softly during evening prayers. The rhythm of candle making feels calm, almost like breathing. No one speaks much. The only sounds are the quiet movement of hands and the gentle crackle of the fire. When enough candles have been made, they are placed carefully on a shelf to cool. Some are small, meant for individual cells. Others are longer, used in the chapel. Next, Brother Thomas moves to another part of the workshop where tools are repaired. On the table lies a small hoe from the garden. The wooden handle has loosened slightly from the metal head. Brother Matthias shows him how to tighten it using a simple wedge of wood. The work requires patience. They tap gently with a small hammer, adjusting the angle carefully. When the tool feels firm again, Brother Thomas runs his hand along the handle, feeling the smooth wood beneath his fingers. Tools in the monastery are treated with respect because they are used every day. Repairing them is part of maintaining balance within the community. Near the back of the workshop, Brother Daniel learns how to braid rope from natural fibers. He twists the strands slowly, following the guidance of an older monk. The rope grows longer with each careful turn, strong enough to hold heavy buckets or tie bundles of herbs. Brother Thomas watches quietly, noticing how learning happens through action rather than long explanation. Later in the morning, he helps carve small wooden pegs used for hanging robes in the corridor. The carving knife moves slowly across the wood, shaving thin curls that fall gently to the floor. The smell of fresh wood fills the air. Carving is a peaceful task. The hands move steadily, shaping something useful from a simple piece of material. Each peg looks slightly different, showing the quiet touch of the person who made it. As the sun rises higher, the bell rings again for prayer. The monks wash their hands and walk toward the chapel. Their robes carry the faint scent of wax and wood from the workshop. Inside, the chapel feels calm and cool. The candles they made earlier in the day flicker gently, casting soft light across the stone walls. The voices of prayer rise and fall slowly, blending with the quiet hum of the building itself. After prayer, the monks return to their crafts. Brother Thomas moves to a table where simple cloth bags are being sewn. These bags are used to store herbs or carry small tools. He threads a needle carefully and begins stitching along the edge of the fabric. Stitch, pull, pause, stitch again. The repetitive motion feels calming. Each small movement contributes to something useful, something that will serve the monastery long after the day ends. Outside the window, the garden glows under warm sunlight. Bees move slowly between flowers. The air feels still and peaceful. In another corner of the workshop, Brother Elias prepares ink using natural ingredients. He grinds a small piece of charcoal and mixes it with liquid in a shallow bowl. The process is slow, requiring careful balance so the ink flows smoothly when writing. Brother Thomas watches for a moment, noticing how every craft connects to another part of monastery. Life, candles for prayer, tools for the garden, ink for study, cloth for daily use. Even the smallest object holds meaning. As afternoon arrives, the light grows softer. The monks begin cleaning the workshop, brushing wood shavings into a small pile and wiping the table surfaces. Order is restored gently without hurry. The bell rings again. They gather in the chapel for another quiet prayer. The steady rhythm continues. Craft, prayer, rest. Afterward, Brother Thomas returns to the courtyard and sits briefly near the well. The water reflects the sky, now turning pale gold as evening approaches. Craftwork in the monastery does not aim for perfection. Small marks remain on the wood. Some candles lean slightly to one side. A stitched line may not be perfectly straight, but each item carries the calm effort of patient hands. As evening settles, the monks place finished candles into baskets and carry them carefully to storage. The corridor fills with warm light as new candles replace old ones. Brother Thomas walks slowly through the cloister, noticing how the glow of candlelight makes the stone walls feel softer. The day has been filled with quiet making, shaping objects that support the gentle rhythm of monastic life. The bell rings once more for evening prayer. Inside the chapel, the candles burn steadily. Their soft flames move with the slightest breath of air. The voices of the monks feel calm, almost like a lullaby carried through stone arches. After prayer, the monastery prepares for rest again. The workshop grows silent. Tools rest on their hooks. The fire fades slowly. Brother Thomas returns to his cell. He places a small wooden peg he carved earlier onto the shelf, a reminder of the simple work that filled the day. Outside, night settles gently over the monastery. And here we will pause. In Part 8, we will explore how the monastery connects with the outside world. Travelers, villagers, and the quiet exchange between monastic life and the surrounding lands. The monastery often feels like a world of its own, wrapped in stone walls and quiet routine. Yet, even in its calm isolation, it is not completely separated from the outside world. Paths lead toward nearby villages, and sometimes travelers arrive at the gates, carrying stories from distant places. Morning light spreads slowly across the courtyard as Brother Thomas finishes his first task of the day. The bell has already rung for prayer, and the monks move gently through their routines. Today, however, something feels slightly different. The sound of footsteps approaching from beyond the outer gate. A visitor has arrived. The monastery gate is simple and strong, made from thick wood reinforced with iron. When someone knocks, the sound travels softly through the courtyard. One monk walks to open the small viewing window, greeting the traveler quietly. Travelers come for many reasons. Some seek food and rest. Others carry letters or messages. A few arrive simply to sit in silence for a short time. Brother Thomas watches from a distance as the gate opens slowly. A traveler steps inside, dust on his cloak from a long road. He bows his head slightly in thanks. The monks welcome him without excitement or noise, guiding him toward a bench near the courtyard. The traveler's presence does not break the calm rhythm of the monastery. Instead, he becomes part of it. Hospitality has always been an important part of monastic life. Even in silence, kindness is offered through simple gestures. A cup of water, a piece of bread, a quiet place to rest. Brother Adrian brings a small bowl of soup from the kitchen. The traveler eats slowly, clearly tired from walking. No long questions are asked. The monastery allows him to rest without pressure to speak. Meanwhile, the monks continue their daily tasks. In the garden, Brother Matthias shows Brother Thomas how to gather herbs that may be given to visitors who feel unwell. They cut small bundles of mint and wrap them in cloth. These gifts are simple but meaningful. Outside the monastery walls, villagers live their own busy lives, farming, trading, and raising families. Sometimes they come to the monastery seeking advice or quiet conversation. Other times they bring small offerings, such as grain or fresh fruit, in exchange for help or prayer. Later in the morning, a local villager arrives carrying a basket of apples. The apples are placed gently on a wooden table near the kitchen. Brother Adrian thanks the villager with a small bow. In return, the villager receives a loaf of bread baked earlier that day. These exchanges happen without loud negotiation. The monastery and the village support each other through steady, simple acts. Brother Thomas helps carry the apples into storage. The smell of fresh fruit fills the room. He places each apple carefully on a shelf, making sure none are bruised. The bell rings for prayer again. Inside the chapel, the presence of visitors adds a new layer to the atmosphere. The traveler sits quietly near the back, listening to the soft voices of the monks. The sound of prayer feels welcoming, even to someone who may not understand every word. After prayer, the monks return to their work. In the afternoon, Brother Thomas walks along the outer path of the monastery with another monk assigned to check the gate area. The path runs beside a low stone wall covered in patches of moss. Beyond it, fields stretch toward distant hills. From here, he can see a small group of villagers walking along the road, carrying tools over their shoulders. The world outside feels larger, more active, but also more distant from the calm within the monastery. Sometimes monks leave the monastery for short journeys, to gather supplies, to visit nearby communities, or to deliver letters. These trips are slow and careful, guided by the same quiet spirit that shapes life inside the walls. Brother Thomas once traveled to a nearby village to help repair a small wooden bridge. The memory feels gentle. The sound of flowing water beneath the boards. The calm teamwork between monks and villagers. Back inside the monastery, the traveler who arrived in the morning now sits in the cloister, resting after his meal. He watches the garden quietly, perhaps feeling the peace that comes from being in such a place. A young novice offers him a cup of warm tea made from dried herbs. The traveler smiles faintly, accepting the kindness. As the afternoon light softens, the monastery prepares for evening prayer. Visitors are welcome to join, sitting quietly along the edges of the chapel. The candlelight glows softly, creating a calm space where outside worries seem to fade. Brother Thomas notices how the presence of new faces does not disturb the rhythm. Instead, it reminds him that the monastery exists within a wider world, connected through quiet acts of care. After prayer, the traveler thanks the monks with a simple gesture. He will leave in the morning, continuing his journey along the road. The monastery does not hold people tightly. It offers rest, then allows them to move on. As night approaches, the gate is closed again. The outer world grows distant, and the monastery returns fully to its gentle stillness. Brother Thomas walks through the courtyard, watching the sky change color above the stone walls. He thinks briefly about the roads beyond, the villages and travelers who pass by. Yet he feels content within the steady rhythm of this place. The bell rings once more. Evening prayer begins, voices rising softly into the quiet air. Candles flicker, casting warm light across the chapel. Outside, the garden rests under fading sunlight. The visitor sits quietly among the monks, sharing in the calm moment before night. When prayer ends, silence deepens again. The monastery prepares for rest, just as it has every day before. And here we will pause. In Part 9, we will explore the food and daily meals of the monastery. How simple ingredients and slow cooking shaped the peaceful rhythm of nourishment. Morning arrives quietly again, as it always does within the monastery walls. The bell rings softly through the cool air, and the monks rise one by one, stepping into another calm day shaped by routine. Today, we will move slowly into the kitchen and refectory, exploring the simple meals that nourish both body and mind. Food in the monastery is never rushed or excessive. It is steady, humble, and prepared with care. Every ingredient carries meaning because it comes from the garden, the nearby village, or the patient work of many hands. Brother Thomas begins the day by walking toward the kitchen after morning prayer. The fire has already been lit, and thin streams of smoke drift upward through a small opening in the roof. The smell of warm bread fills the space, soft and comforting. Brother Adrian stands beside a large wooden table, kneading dough slowly. His hands press into the surface, folding the dough again and again. The movement feels rhythmic. Press, fold, turn, press again. The dough grows smoother with each motion. There is no need to hurry. Bread takes time, and time is something the monastery always respects. Brother Thomas carries a basket of onions and carrots from storage. He places them on the table and begins washing them in cool water. The vegetables shine slightly under the morning light coming through the narrow window. Nearby, a pot of porridge simmers gently over the fire. Steam rises slowly, carrying a mild, earthy scent. The sound of the bubbling liquid blends with the soft crackle of burning wood. Meals in the monastery follow a steady pattern. Breakfast is often simple. A bowl of porridge, a small piece of bread, perhaps a little fruit when available. The purpose is not to fill the senses with excitement, but to give quiet strength for the day's work. As the monks gather in the refectory, they sit at long wooden tables. Bowls are placed carefully in front of each person. The room feels calm, with only the gentle sound of spoons touching pottery. A monk stands near a small reading desk and begins reading from a text in a soft voice. Listening while eating helps maintain focus and silence. The words flow slowly through the room like a calm river. Brother Thomas eats slowly, noticing the warmth of the porridge and the texture of the bread. Each bite feels steady, grounding him in the moment. When breakfast ends, the monks clean together. Bowls are washed in large basins. Water splashes softly against clay surfaces. Cloths wipe down the tables, leaving them smooth and ready for the next meal. The kitchen remains active throughout the morning. Brother Adrian begins preparing the main meal of the day. He chops vegetables into a large wooden bowl, moving the knife carefully across the surface. The pieces fall into the bowl with soft sounds. Brother Thomas helps grind grain using a heavy stone mill. He turns the handle slowly, feeling the weight of the stone move in a steady circle. The grain becomes fine flour, ready for baking. Grinding grain is slow work, but it carries a quiet satisfaction. The repetitive motion allows the mind to rest. Outside the kitchen, the garden provides fresh herbs. Brother Matthias brings a bundle of rosemary and thyme, placing them on the table. Brother Adrian ties the herbs together and lowers them gently into the simmering stew. The smell spreads through the kitchen, warm and earthy. As midday approaches, the refectory fills again. This meal is more substantial. Bowls of vegetable stew are placed on the tables, alongside fresh bread and perhaps a small piece of cheese. On certain days, fish might be served, depending on the monastery's traditions. Brother Thomas takes his seat quietly. The reading begins again, a calm voice filling the space while the monks eat in silence. The stew feels warm and nourishing. Each spoonful carries the flavors of the garden and the slow cooking of the morning. No one rushes to finish. The meal moves at a gentle pace. Afterward, the monks clean once more. Leftover food is stored carefully to avoid waste. The fire is adjusted, so it continues burning gently for later use. In the afternoon, Brother Thomas helps prepare dried herbs for evening tea. He arranges mint leaves on a cloth near the window, allowing them to dry slowly in the air. Later, a small group gathers in the kitchen to bake another batch of bread. The dough has risen, forming soft, rounded shapes. Brother Adrian slides the loaves into the oven using a long wooden paddle. The oven door closes with a soft thud. As the bread bakes, the kitchen fills with a deep, comforting smell. Even the monks passing through the corridor pause slightly, breathing in the warmth. Food in the monastery is never wasted. Every crumb is valued. Even stale bread may be used later in soups or given to visitors at the gate. As evening approaches, the monks prepare a lighter meal or drink. In some seasons, it may be only tea and a small piece of bread. The purpose is to end the day gently, without heaviness. Brother Thomas pours warm herbal tea into simple cups. The steam rises slowly, curling into the air. He carries the cups into the refectory, placing them carefully along the table. The monks sit quietly, sipping tea as the light outside begins to fade. The kitchen grows quieter now. Fires are lowered. Pots are cleaned and turned upside down to dry. The smell of herbs lingers in the air. After the final meal, Brother Thomas sweeps the kitchen floor slowly. The broom moves across the stone, gathering crumbs and small bits of ash. The repetitive motion feels calming, like a closing ritual for the day. He steps outside into the courtyard, where the sky glows with soft evening colors. The garden rests quietly after a day of providing food and comfort. The bell rings again for evening prayer. Inside the chapel, candles flicker gently. The monks' voices rise in calm harmony, carrying the peaceful energy of shared meals and steady work. After prayer, silence deepens once more. Brother Thomas returns to his cell, feeling the quiet satisfaction that comes from simple nourishment, not only through food, but through the shared rhythm of preparing and eating together. And here we will pause. In Part 10, we will explore the quiet evenings of the monastery, storytelling, reflection, and how the long hours before sleep shape the peaceful ending of each day. Evening settles gently over the monastery once more. The sky outside the stone walls turns from pale gold to soft blue, and then slowly toward deeper shades of night. The bell has already rung for evening prayer, and the monks move through the final quiet hours of the day. These hours are not filled with busy activity. Instead, they hold a calm space for reflection, stillness, and soft moments shared without hurry. Brother Thomas steps out into the cloister after the last meal. The air feels cooler now, carrying the faint scent of herbs from the garden. Candlelight flickers along the corridor, casting warm shapes on the stone floor. Evenings in the monastery do not rush toward sleep. They unfold slowly, allowing the mind to settle. Some monks walk quietly along the cloister, their footsteps soft against the worn stones. Others sit on wooden benches, reading by the light of small candles. The pages turn gently, making only the faintest sound. Brother Thomas takes a seat near one of the arches, watching the courtyard grow darker. The well reflects the sky like a small mirror, holding the last traces of fading light. During certain evenings, monks gather for quiet storytelling or shared reading. This is not loud entertainment. It is a calm way to pass the final hours before night. Tonight, Brother Elias opens a small book and begins to read aloud to a small group sitting nearby. His voice is low and steady, telling a simple historical tale about travelers who walked long roads many years ago. The story moves slowly, without sudden drama. Each sentence feels like a gentle step forward. The monks listen quietly. Some close their eyes, letting the words drift through their thoughts. Brother Thomas feels the calm rhythm of the story settle into his breathing. The sound of the reader's voice blends with the distant sound of wind moving across the garden. After the reading ends, silence returns. No applause follows. No loud conversation begins. The monks simply sit for a moment, allowing the story to fade naturally. Elsewhere in the monastery, Brother Adrian finishes checking the kitchen fire. He adjusts the wood carefully so it will burn safely through the night without growing too strong. The soft glow from the hearth lights the room with a gentle warmth. Brother Daniel walks slowly through the corridor, carrying a small bundle of cloth to be folded. Even this simple task feels like part of the evening ritual. Preparing the space for rest, Brother Thomas rises from the bench and walks toward the chapel for the final prayer of the day. Inside, the candlelight feels softer than before. The chapel grows quieter with each passing moment. The monks gather slowly, their robes brushing gently against the stone floor. Night prayer begins. The voices are calm, almost whisper-like, echoing softly through the arches. The words move at a slow pace, guiding the mind toward stillness. Outside, darkness deepens, and the garden becomes a quiet shadow. As the prayer ends, a deeper silence settles over the monastery. The monks return to their cells without hurry. Some pause briefly in the courtyard, looking up at the stars. The sky feels wide and peaceful, untouched by bright lights. Brother Thomas walks slowly back to his small room. The corridor glows faintly from candles placed along the walls. He carries a small lantern, shielding the flame with his hand as he moves. Inside his cell, he places the lantern on the shelf and sits quietly on the bed. The day feels complete, filled with simple work, shared meals, and gentle moments of learning and reflection. He opens a small book and reads a few lines slowly, allowing the words to settle into his thoughts. Reading at night is not meant to keep him awake. It is a calm way to close the day, like a soft whisper before sleep. After a few minutes, he closes the book and sets it aside. He removes his outer robe, folding it neatly. The room feels cool and still. Outside, the faint sound of a night bird echoes once, then fades into silence. He blows out the lantern. Darkness fills the room gently. Across the monastery, other candles fade one by one. The corridors grow quiet. The workshop rests. The kitchen fire glows softly in the distance. Night wraps around the monastery like a calm blanket. Brother Thomas lies down, listening to the quiet breathing of the building itself. The faint creak of wood, the soft whisper of wind near the window. There is nothing urgent waiting for tomorrow. The same gentle rhythm will continue, just as it always has. Hours pass slowly. The monastery sleeps, and here we will pause. In part 11, we will explore the deeper night, dreams, silence, and how the long, dark hours shaped the peaceful minds of those who lived within these ancient walls. Night settles deeply over the monastery. The candles have gone out one by one, leaving only faint shadows across the stone walls. Outside, the sky stretches wide and quiet, filled with distant stars. The garden rests beneath a gentle layer of darkness, and even the wind seems softer now, moving slowly across the roof and through the trees. Brother Thomas lies in his small cell, wrapped in a simple blanket. The bed is firm, the pillow thin, but the quiet surrounding him feels comforting. There are no sudden noises, no bright lights to disturb the stillness. Only the natural rhythm of night guides his rest. In ancient monasteries, night was not always a single long sleep. Sometimes monks woke during the dark hours for prayer, allowing silence and reflection to shape their thoughts. The body learned to follow this rhythm, resting deeply and then rising gently when the bell called. As Brother Thomas sleeps, the monastery breathes quietly around him. If you walked through the corridor now, you would hear only faint sounds, a soft creak of wood, the distant rustle of cloth, perhaps a quiet sigh from a sleeping monk. The stone walls hold the cool air, keeping the night calm and steady. Dreams come softly. Monks often believed that dreams were not meant to be chased or controlled. They simply appeared like passing clouds, reflecting memories of daily life. The garden, the sound of prayer, the steady glow of candlelight. Brother Thomas dreams of walking through the garden at dawn. The plants shimmer with dew, and the bell rings gently in the distance. The dream feels slow and peaceful, blending with the quiet rhythm of his breathing. Time moves forward without hurry. Eventually, a soft bell rings through the darkness. It is not loud or sharp. It is a gentle signal for the night prayer, a moment that breaks the long silence with calm purpose. Brother Thomas opens his eyes slowly. The room remains dark, but he knows the path well. He lights a small candle, its flame flickering softly as it wakes the space around him. Outside the cell, other monks move quietly through the corridor. Their footsteps sound like whispers against the stone floor. No one speaks. The silence itself feels like a shared language. Inside the chapel, the atmosphere feels different from daytime. The darkness makes the candlelight glow more deeply, creating soft halos along the walls. The monks gather slowly, their robes brushing gently against the floor. Night prayer begins. The voices are low and steady, almost like a lullaby carried through the air. Each word rises slowly, then fades into silence. The rhythm of the prayer feels slower than any other time of day, inviting the mind to rest even while awake. Brother Thomas stands quietly, feeling the calm of the moment. The chapel seems to hold the night within its walls, protecting the stillness. After the prayer ends, the monks return to their cells without delay. Some sit for a few moments in quiet reflection. Others lie down again, allowing sleep to return gently. Brother Thomas places the candle on the shelf and blows it out. Darkness settles once more. He closes his eyes, listening to the faint sound of wind near the window. The hours before dawn feel especially peaceful. Outside, the stars begin to fade slowly as the sky prepares for morning. A faint gray light appears at the edge of the horizon, almost too soft to notice at first. Birds begin to stir. One small call breaks the silence, followed by another. The monastery slowly moves from deep night toward early morning. Brother Thomas wakes again, this time before the bell. His body has learned the rhythm of the monastery so well that it rises naturally with the changing light. He sits up slowly, feeling the calm still present from the night prayers. The air in the room feels fresh and cool. He opens the small window slightly, allowing a gentle breeze to enter. Outside, the garden glows faintly under the pale light of dawn. Dew rests on the leaves like tiny drops of silver. Soon the bell rings for the first prayer of the new day. The monks gather once more in the chapel. Their voices rise softly, welcoming the morning with the same peaceful tone they carried through the night. Night and day blend together here, forming a continuous cycle of calm moments. After prayer, Brother Thomas walks into the courtyard. The sky grows brighter with each passing minute. The well reflects the first light of the sun, creating a small circle of brightness in the center of the stone floor. He notices how quiet the world feels at this early hour, a calm that only exists between night and full daylight. As the morning begins, the monks prepare for another day of simple work and steady routine, but the memory of the night remains. The soft candlelight, the quiet voices, the feeling of deep stillness that shapes their thoughts. And here we will pause. In Part 12, we will explore the quiet celebrations and special holy days inside the monastery. How even moments of joy remain gentle and peaceful within the rhythm of monastic life. Some days inside the monastery feel almost identical to one another. The same bell, the same meals, the same quiet work. Yet, scattered gently throughout the year, are special holy days and quiet celebrations. These moments do not break the calm rhythm of life. Instead, they add a soft change in color, like a new shade appearing in an already peaceful painting. Morning begins as usual. The bell rings, and the monks gather in the chapel. Brother Thomas notices a small difference today. A few extra candles have been placed near the front, their soft light glowing more warmly than usual. The air carries a faint scent of fresh herbs and newly baked bread. Today is a holy day. In the monastery, holy days are not loud festivals filled with noise. They are gentle reminders of meaning and reflection. The routine slows even more, allowing space for quiet joy. After the first prayer, the monks walk through the cloister, noticing small changes in their surroundings. A simple cloth has been placed on the reading desk. Fresh flowers from the garden sit in a clay bowl near the chapel entrance. The decorations are modest, but they bring a feeling of renewal. Brother Thomas helps Brother Adrian in the kitchen, where preparations feel slightly different from ordinary mornings. A special loaf of bread is being shaped, rounder and softer than the daily loaves. A few dried fruits have been added to the dough, creating a gentle sweetness. The kitchen smells warm and welcoming. Brother Adrian moves slowly, carefully placing the loaves into the oven. Even on a holy day, there is no rushing. The monks believe that calm work itself is a form of celebration. Outside, Brother Matthias gathers fresh herbs and small flowers from the garden. He arranges them carefully in simple bundles, placing them along the refectory tables. The colors feel soft and natural, blending with the stone walls and wooden surfaces. As the sun rises higher, the bell rings for a longer prayer. Inside the chapel, the atmosphere feels slightly fuller. The candles glow brighter, and the voices of the monks sound deeper, carried by a sense of quiet unity. Some villagers from nearby areas have come to join the prayer, sitting quietly near the back. Brother Thomas notices how the presence of visitors adds warmth to the space, without disturbing its calm. After prayer, the main meal of the day begins. The refectory feels peaceful but gently festive. The special bread is placed on the tables, alongside a warm vegetable stew and a small portion of fruit. The monks sit together, listening to a reading that speaks about gratitude and patience. The meal moves slowly. Brother Thomas tastes the bread and notices the soft sweetness of the fruit mixed into the dough. It feels like a rare treat, but still simple and grounded. Even during celebration, silence remains part of the experience. The quiet allows each person to notice the small details: the warmth of the food, the sound of breathing, the soft glow of candlelight. After the meal, the monks walk slowly through the courtyard. Some pause to look at the flowers placed near the well. Others sit along the cloister arches, reflecting quietly. Holy days often include more time for reading and reflection. Brother Elias reads aloud from a historical text that speaks of earlier monks who lived centuries before. His voice moves slowly, filling the space with calm storytelling. Brother Thomas listens with closed eyes, letting the words drift through his thoughts. Later in the afternoon, the monks gather for a short procession around the courtyard. They walk slowly, carrying candles or small branches from the garden. There is no loud singing, only soft chanting that rises and falls like gentle waves. The procession ends in the chapel, where another prayer is offered. As evening approaches, the monastery returns gradually to its usual rhythm. The special decorations remain, but the atmosphere feels peaceful rather than festive. The goal is not excitement, but quiet gratitude. Brother Thomas helps clean the refectory after the meal. He folds the cloths carefully and places the flowers back into a small vase near the garden entrance. The sky outside turns pale gold as the sun begins to set. Evening prayer feels especially calm after a holy day. The voices of the monks carry a deeper softness, shaped by the shared experience of gentle celebration. After prayer, the monastery settles into silence once more. Brother Thomas walks through the cloister, noticing how the extra candles create a warm glow along the walls. The air feels still and peaceful. He pauses near the garden, watching the flowers move slightly in the evening breeze. Even on a day of celebration, the monastery remains steady, grounded in simplicity. Night arrives quietly. The candles burn lower, and the monks return to their cells one by one. The special bread has been shared. The prayers have been spoken. The celebration fades gently into rest. Brother Thomas sits on his bed for a moment, thinking about how joy here feels different from the outside world. It is soft, calm, and woven into everyday life, rather than standing apart from it. He blows out his candle, allowing darkness to fill the room. The monastery sleeps again, and here we will pause. In Part 13, we will explore the challenges and hardships of monastic life. Cold winters, illness, and how the monks faced difficulties with quiet resilience. Not every day inside the monastery feels warm and easy. Even within stone walls built for peace, there are seasons of hardship, long winters, illness, and moments when the body feels tired from steady work. Yet the monks face these challenges quietly, without loud struggle, moving through difficulty with the same calm rhythm that shapes their peaceful days. Morning begins before sunrise. The air feels colder than usual. A thin layer of frost rests along the edges of the courtyard stones, turning them pale and quiet. Brother Thomas wraps his robe more tightly around his shoulders as he walks toward the chapel. His breath appears softly in the air. Winter has returned. Inside the chapel, candles glow gently, offering warmth to the cool space. The monks gather as they always do, their voices calm and steady during prayer. Even when the body feels heavy from cold, the rhythm of prayer remains unchanged. Afterward, Brother Thomas walks toward the kitchen to help prepare a warm morning meal. The fire burns stronger during winter, filling the room with a comforting glow. Brother Adrian stirs a large pot of thick soup, adding herbs slowly. Hardship in the monastery often comes quietly. Sometimes a monk grows ill from cold weather. Other times, the garden produces less food, requiring careful use of stored grain. These moments are faced together, with patience rather than fear. Today, Brother Luca works in the infirmary, caring for an older monk who feels weak. Shelves of dried herbs line the walls, and a small window lets in pale winter light. Brother Thomas stops briefly to bring fresh water. The sick monk rests peacefully, wrapped in simple blankets. Brother Luca offers warm tea made from mint and rosemary, moving gently so as not to disturb the calm of the room. Illness in ancient times could be serious, yet the monastery approaches it with quiet attention. There is no rush, only steady care. Outside, the garden lies silent under frost. The soil feels hard beneath Brother Thomas's feet as he walks along the paths. Work continues even in winter, repairing tools, carrying firewood, and checking the storage rooms. He joins Brother Matthias in stacking wood near the kitchen. Each piece is placed carefully to keep the fire burning through the cold nights. Lift, step, place. The motion feels slow but steady, warming the body despite the chill. Sometimes hardship comes not from weather, but from tiredness. The repeated rhythm of monastic life can feel heavy, especially during long winters when sunlight appears only briefly. On such days, the monks rely on quiet companionship, a small nod from another monk, a shared task in the workshop, or a calm reading in the library helps ease the weight of fatigue. Brother Thomas notices how even silence can feel supportive. In the afternoon, the bell rings for prayer. The chapel feels warmer now, filled with candlelight. The voices of the monks sound deeper, shaped by the quiet challenges of the season. Prayer becomes a place of rest, allowing the mind to settle even when the body feels tired. After prayer, Brother Thomas helps mend robes in the workshop. The fabric has worn thin from years of use. He threads a needle carefully, stitching small tears along the edge. Stitch, pull, pause. Mending clothing feels symbolic, repairing small breaks, restoring strength to something that has served many days. Later, a strong wind moves across the monastery walls. The sound echoes softly through the corridors, reminding everyone of the world beyond the stone boundaries. Brother Thomas pauses near a window, watching snow begin to fall lightly in the courtyard. Snow brings both beauty and difficulty. Paths must be cleared. Water must be carried carefully to avoid slipping. The garden rests completely, waiting for warmer days. As evening approaches, The kitchen prepares a thicker meal to help everyone stay warm. Brother Adrian adds extra grains to the stew, creating a heavier texture. Steam rises from the pot, filling the room with comforting warmth. The monks gather in the refectory, eating slowly as always. The reading during the meal speaks about patience during hard times, reminding them that seasons always change. After the meal, Brother Thomas joins a small group clearing snow from the cloister walkway. They move carefully, brushing the white layer aside so the path remains safe. Even in cold weather, the monastery keeps its rhythm. The bell rings again for evening prayer. Inside the chapel, the flicker of many candles pushes back the darkness. The voices of the monks rise softly, carrying strength through calm repetition. Hardship does not remove peace here. Instead, it becomes part of the steady flow of life. Accepted quietly, faced together. After prayer, the monks return to their cells. The night feels colder than usual, but the thick stone walls offer protection from the wind. Brother Thomas lights a small candle and sits on his bed. He listens to the sound of snow touching the window. The world outside feels distant, softened by the falling flakes. He reflects briefly on the day, the cold air, the work of carrying wood, the quiet care given to the sick monk. Even these challenges feel gentle within the rhythm of monastic life. He blows out the candle. Darkness fills the room, calm and deep. And here we will pause. In part 14, we will explore how monks aged within the monastery, how years passed slowly, shaping wisdom, memory, and the peaceful acceptance of time. Time moves differently inside the monastery. Days feel slow, shaped by the gentle rhythm of prayer, work, and quiet reflection. Yet, when many days pass together, they become years almost without notice. Seasons turn again and again, and the monks grow older within the same stone walls that remain unchanged. Morning begins as it always does. The bell rings softly, echoing through the corridors. Brother Thomas walks toward the chapel with steady steps, but he notices small changes in himself. The way his hands feel slightly heavier after long work. The way he pauses a moment longer before rising from a bench. Aging in the monastery is not hidden or feared. It is accepted quietly, like the slow movement of sunlight across the courtyard. Inside the chapel, older monks sit along the front rows. Brother Matthias, once strong and quick in the garden, now moves more slowly. His hands still know the soil well, but younger monks help carry heavier tools. He offers guidance instead of lifting weight. Brother Thomas watches him with calm respect. The voices during morning prayer feel deeper, shaped by years of repetition. Some monks have spoken these same words for decades. The rhythm feels familiar, like a path walked many times. After prayer, Brother Thomas joins Brother Matthias in the garden. Winter has softened, and small green shoots begin to appear again. Brother Matthias kneels carefully, touching the soil with gentle fingers. He shows a novice where to plant new seeds, explaining slowly with soft words. Teaching becomes an important part of aging in the monastery. Older monks pass knowledge through quiet example. How to mend a robe properly, how to prepare herbs for tea, how to hold silence with patience. These lessons are not rushed. They grow slowly, like the plants in the garden. Brother Thomas helps carry a basket of seeds, while Brother Matthias walks beside him. Their steps match a calm rhythm. In the workshop, Brother Elias continues to write, though his movements are slower than before. His handwriting remains steady, shaped by years of practice. Younger monks now assist him by preparing parchment and mixing ink. The library holds many memories. Some books copied long ago by monks who have already passed away remain on the shelves. their pages still strong. Reading these texts feels like hearing quiet voices from the past. Brother Thomas opens one such book and traces a line of writing with his finger. The letters feel alive, carrying the calm presence of the person who wrote them many years earlier. Aging here does not feel lonely. The community supports each person as time moves forward. Brother Luca walks through the infirmary, checking on older monks who rest more often now. He prepares warm tea and adjusts blankets gently. The atmosphere feels peaceful rather than heavy. Outside, the courtyard glows under soft sunlight. A few older monks sit on benches, watching younger novices carry water from the well. Their eyes hold quiet understanding. They once moved with that same energy. Brother Thomas pauses beside them, sharing a moment of silence. In the afternoon, the monks gather for study. Brother Elias reads aloud from a historical text, his voice slower but still clear. The younger monks listen closely, absorbing both the words and the calm rhythm of his speech. Aging brings a deep sense of patience. Tasks that once required strength now become opportunities to guide others. Wisdom grows through years of repetition, through countless prayers, countless meals, countless quiet evenings. As the day moves toward evening, Brother Thomas helps prepare candles for night prayer. He notices how his own movements feel more measured than before. He no longer rushes from one task to another. Instead, he allows each action to unfold naturally. The bell rings for evening prayer. Inside the chapel, the light from many candles creates a warm glow. The monks' voices blend together, young and old, forming a calm harmony that fills the space. Brother Thomas looks around and sees how time has shaped each person differently. Some with gray hair, some with slower steps, yet all moving within the same gentle rhythm. After prayer, the monks walk quietly through the cloister. The sky turns deep blue as night approaches. Stars begin to appear above the stone walls. Brother Matthias sits on a bench, watching the garden. Brother Thomas joins him. They do not speak. The silence between them feels full of shared years and quiet understanding. Aging in the monastery does not feel like losing something. It feels like becoming part of a longer story, one that continues even after individual lives fade. Later, Brother Thomas returns to his cell. He lights a small candle and opens a book he has read many times before. The words feel familiar, like an old friend. He reads slowly, then closes the book and sets it aside. The room feels peaceful, filled with the calm weight of passing years. He blows out the candle. Darkness settles gently around him. And here we will pause. In Part 15, we will reach the final chapter of our calm sleep history journey, reflecting on the lasting legacy of monasteries and how their slow rhythm continues to inspire peaceful living even today. Morning arrives once more at the monastery, just as it has arrived for countless days before. The bell rings softly, echoing through stone corridors that have witnessed many seasons, many lives, and many quiet moments. Brother Thomas rises slowly from his bed, feeling the calm weight of years spent within these walls. Outside, the garden rests under gentle morning light, leaves shining with dew. This final part of our journey is not about an ending that feels sudden or loud. Instead, it is a gentle reflection on how monastic life continues beyond any single person. How its slow rhythm leaves a lasting mark on the world. Inside the chapel, the monks gather for prayer. Their voices move together in a calm harmony that feels timeless. Some voices are young and new. Others are older, softened by decades of repetition. The words remain steady, connecting past and present in a quiet flow. Brother Thomas notices how the chapel feels the same as it did many years ago. The same stone walls, the same candlelight, the same calm silence between breaths. After prayer, he walks through the cloister, watching sunlight stretch slowly across the floor. The arches cast long shadows that move gently as the day begins. Life inside the monastery continues without hurry. Younger novices carry water from the well, learning the rhythm of daily tasks. Brother Matthias sits near the garden, offering soft guidance as new seeds are planted. Brother Adrian prepares bread in the kitchen, his hands moving in the familiar rhythm of kneading dough. The monastery lives through shared effort, not through one single person. Brother Thomas steps into the library, where shelves hold books copied over many generations. Some pages are worn at the edges, touched by many hands. Others look newer, written by younger monks continuing the tradition of learning. He opens a book slowly, reading a passage about patience and stillness. The words feel familiar, yet new, each time they are read. Outside the walls, the world continues to change. Villages grow, travelers walk new roads, seasons turn again and again. Yet the monastery remains steady, offering a place where time feels slower and more peaceful. Throughout history, monasteries have been quiet centers of learning, care, and reflection. They preserved knowledge through careful writing. They offered rest to travelers. They cultivated gardens that fed both body and spirit. Their legacy is not loud or dramatic. It exists in small things. A handwritten page saved from fading, a herb grown for healing, a candle lit during evening prayer. Brother Thomas walks toward the garden once more. The air feels warm, carrying the gentle scent of rosemary and mint. A young novice kneels beside him, asking quietly where to place new seeds. Brother Thomas shows him the right spot, pressing the soil gently with calm hands. Teaching has become part of his daily life now, just as others once taught him. As midday arrives, the monks gather in the refectory for a simple meal. The rhythm remains unchanged. Bowls placed carefully, a soft reading shared while they eat. Brother Thomas listens to the reader's voice and notices how the words seem to flow through time itself. Generations have sat at these same tables, eating the same humble food, listening to the same calm tones. After the meal, he walks slowly through the courtyard. The well reflects the sky like a quiet mirror. A bird lands briefly on the stone edge, then lifts away again. Small moments like these carry the gentle beauty of monastic life. In the afternoon, he joins the others in preparing candles for evening prayer. The wax cools slowly as it forms around the wick, just as it did years ago when he first learned the craft. Dip, lift, wait. Each motion feels familiar, steady, and peaceful. As the sun begins to lower, the monastery prepares for evening prayer once more. Inside the chapel, candles glow softly. The monks' voices rise together, filling the space with calm harmony. The sound feels timeless, stretching beyond the present moment. Brother Thomas stands quietly, feeling gratitude for the slow rhythm that has shaped his life. When prayer ends, the monks walk through the cloister under a sky turning deep blue. Stars begin to appear above the stone walls. Night approaches gently, wrapping the monastery in calm silence. Brother Thomas returns to his cell. The small room looks just as it did many years ago, simple, quiet, and peaceful. He lights a candle and sits on the bed for a moment, reflecting on the long path of days that have passed. Monastic life does not end with grand events. It continues quietly, one day flowing into the next, carried by those who remain and those who come after. He blows out the candle. Darkness settles softly around him. Outside, the garden rests. The chapel grows still. The corridors fall silent once more, and so our calm sleep history journey comes to a gentle close, not as an ending, but as a quiet pause in a story that continues through time. The monastery remains, breathing slowly beneath the stars, holding the peaceful rhythm of days that never rush.